hold on.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants Hangout. My name is Joe Grabowski, and I'll sort of be your host for today. We're really excited to be celebrating beautiful birds today by taking another virtual field trip to the Virginia Zoo. It's always a lot of fun to meet some of the staff at the zoo, as well as meet some of the amazing ambassador animals they have for us today. So I'm going to let our awesome staff at the Virginia Zoo take over. We're so excited for today's hangout and to meet some of the, and actually I'm jumping into next month's hangout. It's Marvelous Mammals right now. So we're really excited to meet some of the marvelous mammals at the Virginia Zoo. I'll let you guys take over now, and we're excited for a good hangout today.
Okay. Hi guys. Hi guys, how are you? So I'm Jess, this is Stephanie and Jenna, and we do have Marvelous Mammals today. We are going to talk about birds on the 6th coming up, so keep an eye out for that. Today, we have a few animals that we are going to introduce you to that are part of the mammal group. One thing that we do want to point out is that mammals are very, very diverse, and they can have very different traits or adaptations that help them survive in their environment. So the few things that animals have in common, they are usually very furry, or they have some sort of hair on their bodies. They produce milk for their young, and they are what we call endothermic or warm-blooded. And basically that means that if they get cold, they can warm themselves up. And that's different from all of the other animals that we've met through exploring by the seat of your pants, because mammals have found all sorts of different ways that they keep that heat trapped in their body. So we're gonna meet a few different animals who have different body coverings that are all hair, even though they look really crazy and weird. So first off, we are going to go over to Stephanie, and she's going to introduce our first animal ambassador and our first marvelous mammal. Slide out of this.
Hi guys, so right here behind me is Dimitri. We'll get a little bit better of a view of him. He's kind of up tall. He is a prehensile tail porcupine. So you can see he has this long tail that he has wrapped right around this tree branch. He's normally going to be found in South America, so he's going to be a rainforest porcupine. He's going to be up in the tops of the trees, and he's going to be moving around eating fruits and vegetables that he can find. Now, he may not look like he's covered in hair, but he's actually covered in quills. So on him are all these quills that he has, which quills are actually just a modified type of hair. So he uses those quills in a lot of different ways. One way that he can use them is for shock absorption. If he would fall from a tree, he can use those quills to protect himself. He can also use those quills for protection as well from predators. So what he can do is he can stand all those quills up and make himself look really, really big. And then he can rattle the quills and shake them around and make lots and lots of noises with them. So that's another way that he uses his quills. On those quills, there are barbed edges. So they're kind of like the tips of a fishing hook. Now, it's actually a myth that porcupines can throw their quills or shoot their quills. So even though Dimitri is standing right here behind me, he's not going to be able to throw quills at me. What he can do, though, is stand those up. And if a predator comes to try and bite him or to eat him, then they get a face full of quills. He can release them, and he can run away while they have to try and figure out how to get the quills out of their face. So right now, Dimitri's eating a piece of sweet potato. That is one of his favorite treats here. We'll see if he'll come a little, nope, he's still got a little bit more to eat. So you can't see him a little too close, but he is using those front feet to kind of hold on. He has claws on those front feet to grab onto the tree branches, to climb around in the tree branches. And then also he can use them to hold his food. He does have claws on his back as well. And like I said, he has that long tail that he can use, that prehensile tail. There's he a little bit closer. You can kind of see he has a big nose. He uses that to find all the fruits and vegetables. And he's looking at you guys. He's gonna use that nose to sniff out any fruits and veggies that he can find. He's just an herbivore. He's not gonna eat any types of meat. So he eats fruits, vegetables, flowers, leaves, roots, any of those different things that he can find in the treetops. So with all that, he does have very large teeth. He's part of the rodent family. So he has teeth that are constantly growing. So he's gonna need to chew on things like bark or maybe some pieces of the branches so that he can kind of wear his teeth down. So he has big, wide teeth. He can even crack open the shells of nuts with those. So he has very strong teeth. So he is one of our marvelous mammals. Like we said, he doesn't look like he has hair, but he has all those quills, which is a type of hair. His belly is also a little bit soft. He breathes air, and he is also going to nurse from his mom when he is young. So he's one of our more exciting mammals that we brought. But then you can also meet another mammal, which has a different type of body covering, and you're going to get to see him next. So we're just going to move the camera back over to the other side.
All right. So another mammal that, and this guy, yeah, looks completely different from the one you just met. Kind of doesn't look like a typical mammal at all. This guy doesn't even look like he has hair. But if you do look closely, he does have little hairs. Maybe I'm kind of scooting a little bit. So this is Viggo, and he is our 3-banded armadillo. So this is actually, there are 20 different species of armadillos, and this is the only kind that can actually roll up into this perfect little ball. That's kind of a myth that people think all armadillos can do that, but it's really just these 3-bandeds. He's kind of got his little claws tucked in, but he has very long claws. These guys are insectivores, so he's going to use those long claws to dig into termite mounds and kind of dig around and root around in the ground to eat bugs. Here at the zoo, he eats bugs. He also eats fruits and veggies too. They have a really good sense of smell, so he can kind of smell around and find all those bugs and dig them out. So he, kind of like Dimitri's quills, were made out of, it's called keratin. It's just like our hair and our fingernails. This is what Viggo's shell, or carapace as it's called, is made out of. So it's really cool, and it's mostly for his protection. You know, he's a little guy, so he's going to protect himself by rolling up into this ball. To keep himself safe, he's going to tuck in his sensitive little tummy, tuck in his face and his hands, keep himself safe. And then, so this is one of the types of armadillos we have, and Stephanie's actually going to come in with a kind that looks totally different from Viggo.
So this is Dora, and Dora here is what's called a screaming hairy armadillo. So she looks a lot different. She can't roll up into a ball like Viggo can. What she is able to do is run around really fast, and then she can also kind of curl just halfway, but she has these really sharp claws. You can kind of see those sharp claws on her. And then she's going to either dig a burrow, or she is going to make a really, really loud noise. So the noise that they can make sounds pretty much like a scream or a growl. So that is where they got their name, the screaming hairy armadillo. So when they are going to try and frighten off predators, they're going to make that noise. She's being a little wiggly here, so I'm just going to hold on to her. She's still.
Can you lift her up real quick? It's hard for the classrooms to see because the bar that's across the bottom of the screen. Yes.
Oh, I can't see her. So with Dora here, she is going to use her hearing as one of her more stronger senses. She also has a sticky tongue, which she can kind of stick down into the burrows for insects. Let me just grab some more food here. She's getting a little squirrely. So she can also use her sticky tongue, and then she can as well use her hearing. So she has really, really strong hearing. Now she is covered in armor plates as well as Viggo was. So she has those plates that she has on her head. And then she also has something kind of cool where each armadillo has a different plate on their head. So just like we have different fingertips or fingerprints, our armadillos each have a head plate that's unique to them. So they all have a different head plate. Now they don't see really, really well. They are going to mostly be nocturnal. So she's usually going to be kind of down in a burrow, but she is going to use that hearing. And then you see all this hair all over her belly here is actually used for sensory. So she is actually going to kind of use those hairs to feel, and she can feel insects that are burrowing down in the ground. She can also feel if there is kind of something coming. So she's going to feel the vibrations of anything that's coming towards her. And then she can kind of decide if she's going to hide, if she's going to go into a burrow, or if she's going to come out any further. So she has all those little hairs that she uses. They kind of keep her warm. And then she can also run away or dig a really fast burrow. So she can dig burrows really, really quickly. So this is just a different type of armadillo. So she has all the hair on her back as well as on her belly. And she's just slightly different from Viggo in the fact that she can't roll up into a ball. So we are going to meet our last mammal coming up. who is kind of coming out on our tree for us. And she's one of our bigger mammals that you're going to get to see. She's one of the most popular ones here at the zoo. So you're going to get to meet her next.
All right. So this is a mammal, right? This is what you think of as a mammal. Look at all of this hair. So this is Casey. Took her time coming out. She is a sloth, so you know they're known for being slow. She is a two-toed sloth. So if you can see her front feet, she has 2 toes. Nice long claws that help her hang on. I'm going to be feeding her some fruits and veggies, her favorite. These guys, they spend their whole life high up in the trees. They're from South America and the rainforest. So, you know, anything that would be growing in trees, leaves, fruits, twigs, things like that is what she would be eating. So all of this hair that I mentioned is actually really interesting and special to her. She has got beautiful shades of brown in her hair, but it's very porous. So I mentioned she lives in the rainforest. It's very wet. So in the wild, she would actually be very green. It's porous, so all that water will soak in, and actually algae will grow, which, you know, sloths are slow, so that's kind of going to be her defense. She will kind of turn green and just really blend in with that tree that she's living in, which is really cool. And the algae will help them blend in, but it also, they can absorb the nutrients from the algae, so that's really interesting. She loves banana. Their hair is cool too. It actually parts on her belly and it grows downwards. So the rain kind of just slides right down. Very cool. One of my favorite things about sloths, you know, one of those gross fun facts. Who doesn't love those? Because everything is slow with a sloth, her metabolism is very slow. They actually will only poop about once a week. So she'll climb down from her tree and use the bathroom only once a week. She's showing her best side. Morning, Casey. Oh my goodness. Very slow. Something was popping up.
Do you guys mind if I hop in first?
Oh yeah, hop in, yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to get her to miss you guys.
I'm gonna try. Jenna is much taller than I am.
I know.
So one thing that we do want to talk about while we're looking at Casey's better side, all of the mammals that we've shown you guys today do have one really important trait in common. And that trait is that they actually give birth to live young. Now, that doesn't mean that every mammal gives birth to live young. I'm sure a lot of us are familiar with the platypus and the echidna, who actually lay eggs, but they are still considered mammals because they have hair. They do produce milk in kind of a weird way, and they are warm-blooded. So even though there are some mammals that are a little weird, that's just because they sort of popped up a little bit earlier in our Earth's history, and they hadn't quite figured out the best way to do things yet. So we've got our monotremes. That's what those guys are called, the ones that lay eggs. Mammals like Casey here and our 2 armadillos and our prehensile tailed porcupine are what we call placentals. That means that they give birth to live young. And then you guys might also be familiar with marsupials, which include kangaroos, wallabies. And here in Virginia, where we're at, we actually have the Virginia opossum. And the Virginia opossum is the only marsupial in North America. So it's kind of interesting to see all of these different ways that mammals have figured out how to survive. But despite all of those differences, they do all have those traits in common that make them mammals.